Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Nelson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from around the country. Archbishop Christophe Pierre, the Vatican nuncio to the United States, officially announced April 4th that Pope Francis had named Archbishop Wilton Gregory of Atlanta as the new Archbishop of Washington. The 71-year-old former president of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops will succeed Cardinal Donald Wuerl, whose resignation was accepted by Pope Francis in October.
Pope Francis has named Wilton D. Gregory the new Archbishop of Washington. Since 2004 until now, he was Archbishop of Atlanta. It is a delicate seat. Many Catholics in Washington are hurt because the former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick was expelled from the priesthood for abusing seminarians. His successor, Donald Wuerl, also resigned after his name was mentioned in the Pennsylvania grand jury report, and he was questioned for alleged cover-up. Archbishop Gregory now assumes the role as the 7th Archbishop of D.C. He previously served as president of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops from 2001 to 2004. During his leadership, he was key to implementing the Dallas Charter, stressing zero tolerance for sexual abuse. In 2009, he was also personally invited by Pope Benedict XVI to participate in a synod on Africa. Here he expressed his concern and desire for Americans to further appreciate African heritage.
As an American, we know, obviously, far too little of Africa, that it is the second largest continent on the earth, that it is the home to more than 50 countries, that it represents tremendous diversity in ethnic and cultural heritage.
Archbishop Gregory's appointment coincides with the 51st anniversary of the death of Dr. Martin Luther King. The Archbishop's installation date has been set for Friday, May 17th.
Archbishop Gregory served in Atlanta since 2005. He previously was Bishop of Belleville, Illinois for 11 years, beginning in 1994, and before that was an auxiliary bishop of Chicago. The Archbishop is the first African-American to be named to head the Washington Archdiocese. His installation will take place at the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle in Washington in May. In news from the Vatican, Pope Francis met with a group of Catholic and Protestant journalists from Germany this past week. The delegation included representatives from Germany's Catholic Bishops' Conference, the Evangelical Church in Germany, and public service media.
Reinhard Marx opened up the meeting between the Pope and German Catholic and evangelical journalists. Pope Francis asked them to be professional and committed to the truth.
Vi incoraggio nel vostro impegno a far sì che vi siano fatti anziché fake news, oggettività anziché dicerie, ricerca di precisione anziché titoli approssimativi.
The Pope clearly stated some current issues that most concern him.
La contestazione del diritto alla vita, l'avanzata dell'eutanasia, la negazione dell'uguaglianza sociale, la mancanza di integrazione, la violazione della dignità umana e della libertà di coscienza.
He asked journalists to be defenders of human freedom. The Pope also told them not to just report on the bad, but also on the good. This is because there are many stories that can be a source for hope.
In news from around the world, in a statement published April 4th, the Vatican's Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith has announced it has rejected an appeal by the now former Archbishop Anthony Apuron of Agana, Guam, upholding its judgment of finding him guilty of abuse against minors. According to the statement, the decision is final and no further appeals are possible. The communique also stated that the penalties imposed on the Archbishop are the privation of office, the perpetual prohibition from dwelling, even temporarily, in the jurisdiction of the Archdiocese of Agana, and the perpetual prohibition from using the insignia attached to the rank of bishop. With the ruling, Archbishop Michael Burns, who was named coadjutor of the Archdiocese in 2016, automatically becomes the Archbishop of Agana. In a statement, Archbishop Burns said the Archdiocese welcomes this closure with great relief. He said it has been a long and painful period for our church, our island community as a whole. Bishop Apuron had been accused of sexually abusing several boys in the 1970s, and in early 2018, one of his nephews publicly claimed the bishop had sexually abused him in 1990. Bishop Apuron continually has denied the allegations. Finally in the news, Alessandro Gisotti, interim director of the Vatican press office, confirmed this past week that leaders of South Sudan were scheduled to participate in a retreat at the Vatican While there, it's expected that the opposition leader will also be attending and will meet with the South Sudanese delegation.
First time in an unprecedented meeting, the Vatican will host two conflicting leaders for a joint prayer. Salva Kiir, the president of South Sudan, and his opponent, former Vice President Riek Machar, will spend several days together at the Vatican. They'll be participating in a spiritual retreat. That's how Cardinal Parolin explained it during a meeting organized by the Stand Together Project and the U.S. Embassy to the Holy See.
Ci sarà un momento, diciamo, di spiritualità.
It will be a spiritual moment and above all an invitation to realize the responsibility political leaders and authorities have.
On several occasions, Pope Francis has expressed his desire to travel to South Sudan. However, thus far, there have not been appropriate conditions. Therefore, given that he can't go, he will invite the two leaders responsible for the South Sudanese civil war to the Vatican. The purpose is to have them pray for peace and understanding together.
Parteciperà.
In the end, he will participate. The Pope will also be there.
South Sudan is the youngest country in the world. Its independence was proclaimed in 2011 from its northern neighbors. They had hope of achieving peace, but instead, only 2 years later, a civil war began. The war is ongoing and has left hundreds dead and more than 4 million displaced.
Catholic bishops in South Sudan are hoping peace can improve the economic condition of that country. According to the United Nations, more than 1.5 million people in South Sudan are on the brink of starvation, and more than 6 million people, half the population, face extreme hunger. Well, that's all the information we have for you this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV network.